start this week's portrait drawing. It is January 27th, and today I am using a reference photo that was sent to me over the summer. And we are streaming directly through YouTube this time instead of using Restream to see if we have better luck with it reaching everybody and everybody being able to access the comments. So I'm going to jump right in and get started with today's pencil drawing. Every time I get ready to do a video, I'm always thinking about some story or something that we can talk about because it takes about, typically has taken me between 35 and 45 minutes to complete these drawings. I always aim to try to have it within a half-hour window, and I'm still working toward that. But somehow I just get started and I don't always know what I'm going to say. Actually, I usually never know what I'm going to say when I just start talking. But I was thinking that maybe today I would talk about the idea of whether or not it makes sense to go to art school. And I'm still learning about the people who come on and watch these videos if you guys tend to be interested in art making yourself or simply or not simply enjoying watching the art yourself. And so both are great reasons to be here and are welcome. But for those of you who are maybe considering going to art school, you like to make art and you're watching because you're curious about actually drawing a portrait, I thought that would be a good topic. As someone who did go to art school and who actually really liked school, I find value in it. And one of the biggest reasons is because just simply giving yourself permission to spend the time on your artwork. That's something that's expected of you in art school. And that is something that in everyday life is not a typical thing. Um, if you want to get better at art, you have to do it, right? You have to practice it and spend a lot of time working on your art. And practicing every day is the best way to become a stronger artist, just like anything else. But trying to put a practice into place while you're also a student or working a job is not so easy. And trying to explain to people or even to yourself that you need to take the time to sit down and draw for for however long you choose every day, or that you need to sit down and paint, or you need to go take some photos, or study light, or read some books about art, like that's that's something that I wish we could be more forgiving about and that people would be more understanding about. And yet, that's something that's generally not approved of or looked upon as a productive way to spend your time or a good use of time in our modern society. And that is sad. But I mean, it's doable. If you commit to it, it's doable. As a working artist, that is one thing that I have had to learn is that it's okay to spend time working on my art. And in fact, it's necessary for me to do that in order to grow as an artist and to be able to make artwork that I enjoy and that other people find valuable as well. And so if you are choosing not to go to art school, it just means that you better have, you know, a plan in place and the strength to commit to that plan for how you are going to give yourself that time. And being okay with telling people, like, no, I can't go out to lunch with you today because I have work to do and I need to work on my art. And um, And so just for that alone, going to art school because then you can say you're a student, you're actually in school and you're studying. And you not only have the access to hopefully some good instructors and some peers who are like-minded and studying the same kinds of things, but you also have like, you know, an excuse for like, I have to go to class, and in class, you're going to spend 2 hours working on a drawing or a painting, right? So that is one reason why I am a fan of art school. And then, of course, the other is because it gives you access to all kinds of materials and resources that you don't even know about because we don't know what we're missing, right? So, and it gives you a plan for how to progress from one thing to the next. So that's what I would say. Now, do you have to go to art school to be a successful artist? Obviously, the answer is no, because there's a lot of self-taught artists in the world. And there's also a question of what kind of artist are you? Are you wanting to be a classically trained artist and practice drawing and composition and light and color relationships and form and learn how to see things? Or are you more in the modern intuitive camp where you are creating based on your own intuition and whatever happens, happens, and you'll make meaning of it some way or another regardless. And so there's those two camps, and I think everybody probably falls more into one than the other, some more strongly and some kind of overlapping. But you have to figure out which one you are. And so that will help you decide if you do go to art school, you need to find a program that meets your um, where you're at, or if you're not sure, you should pay attention to what type of program your school has, at least so that you can realize which way you're being taught. So that's my 2 cents on that. I think ultimately, if you want to be an artist, meaning you want to be able to create artwork that fulfills you, then it's just a matter of getting started and understanding that it takes a lot of time to learn along the way. And I think, that's like just how it is. If you want to be a great tennis player, you don't just show up at the tennis court one day and know what's going on. Like, you have to learn the rules of the game and figure out what gear you enjoy and what you need. And you have to put the hours in playing the game. And then you become a better player and you learn more nuanced things about the sport while you're doing it, right? So, while you're deciding, the best thing you can do is just get a sketchbook and a pencil and start drawing whatever you see. Just draw a little something if you can every day. Every day is not reasonable for every person, but even if you spend 10 minutes a day just doodling or drawing something, that is a step in the right direction. And if you do that most days, by the end of the year, you'll have a bit of time under your belt with drawing, and you'll get to know the paper you're using and the pencil you're using, and you'll get to know what happens if you do this and what happens if you do that, and then you can start actually paying attention to your subject matter, and you'll learn a little bit about yourself too. What lures you in? What's your muse? What don't you like and what do you like? And can try different drawing techniques like smooth shading and cross hatching and all kinds of things. I know there's tons of art videos here on YouTube, and there's a lot of really inspiring things people are doing. So you might start off by copying something that you're really attracted to just for yourself to figure out like, oh, I wonder how they did that. Can I figure it out? And there's a whole big thing about you can't copy, and I think that's wrong. I actually have a blog post on my website about why copying is good and why I think it's necessary in the art world. If you think historically speaking, artists started off as apprentices, right? And they learned from a master. And then they had to copy the master because the master was like, this is how you do it. And once you figure out how somebody else has done something, you have a little more of a grasp of how you would do it, and you can adjust things to become your own. But you don't just start off knowing everything and with the skills to do everything the way you want to until you've tried other ways of how they've already been done. So I encourage you to copy. I think one thing that's so satisfying about drawing portraits is that there is a face already there, and I am simply copying this face that has already existed. And it gives me a sense of knowing if my drawing is accurate or not because I does it look like the person or not? And if it does, then I'm on the right track. And if it doesn't, then something needs to be changed. And it lets me learn each time where I need to work a little harder and what my strengths are. All right. So I have gotten started with the eyes. I've talked about this before that sometimes I start with the eyes and occasionally I don't, but usually beginning with the eyes is one of my favorite places to start in a drawing. And maybe it's because I love drawing eyes. I think the eyes already give you a good glimpse of who the person is and recognition of who they are, especially when there's eyebrows involved, because eyes with the eyebrows is a very defining characteristic. Without even drawing any further in the face, a lot of times you can tell who the person is if you know them simply with the eyes. And so this person, I've not actually met this person yet, um, but this person lives near me. This photo was submitted from a local art call that I put out. And so this person lives somewhere nearby. And so there's a chance that maybe I will meet this person. Maybe I'll even get to deliver this drawing to this person face to face, which is always very cool for me to draw them and look at their face while I'm drawing them, and then to be able to see the person in reality and be like, wow, I know you. Every once in a while, I'm driving around town or I'm shopping and I see someone that looks really familiar, and I'm like, I don't actually know that person, but I think I might have drawn them from their photo they sent me. I have some really great stories about that. Okay. It's been very cold outside, and even though I have heat in my studio, my hands are feeling cold today. So I feel my fingers have kind of chilled out. It's making me wonder if there's some kind of hand exercises for artists that I don't know of that I should be doing before I sit down and start drawing. I'll have to look into that. And one of my daughters plays violin, and her violin teacher sets them up for violin for yoga with a local yoga studio, which I think is pretty cool. And I wonder sometimes if there's something similar for artists where there's like yoga for artists or something of the like exercises, that kind of thing. All right, I'm getting kind of scribbly with the hair because I don't want to go into too much detail up there, but we have some long, dark hair here, and the dark hair helps to shape the face. Now, the ear, I'm looking in the reference photo, the top of the ear is in line with the bottom of the eyebrow here. So I'm just going to hint that there's an ear tucked in under this hair because that's what it looks like, drawing what I see here. And then the ear on the other side is kind of peeking out a little bit as well under the hair. And you might notice like I start out lighter and then I build up the darks as I go, and that's just because it's easier to make changes if something's incorrect. I don't want to lock myself in with a dark line that has to be changed. Although that happens sometimes, and I will do that. And so just continue sculpting the face out of the lights and shadows until I get down to the mouth. And I'm working on making enough space for the mouth and the chin. One thing I tend to do is underestimate the size of the chin. And so I'm working on that. Okay. A little smile line over here. And then it looks like the lips start about here. So at this point, I want to say, um, if you're enjoying the video, obviously, I really appreciate your likes and your subscribes. I had a goal to get to um, 600 subscribers on my channel by before February 1st. And today, I think I only needed one more. So if that's you, thank you so much. I appreciate it. And then, of course, I am also open to drawing you. If you would like me to draw you or somebody that you know, let me know. All you have to do is send me a portrait photo, and I add it to my collection of reference photos. And every Monday, I pick one, and it could be your turn next. There's no fine print, no catch. Just send me a photo and see if I draw you next. That's how it works. If I do pick you to draw and you are watching the video, just let me know in the comments that it's you or it's the picture you sent in, and I will send you the finished artwork for free. Okay, so we got the lips going in here now. There's a little highlight going on over here, some darks, and then we have some shadows kind of underneath here. We put in. It is quiet on YouTube again. I'm still figuring out my settings. I don't know. The first stream I had lots of people and engagement going on. And then when I published the video, it hit all the comments, even though I have it set to say show the comments. And since then, when I have started live streams, it's been very quiet. But my hope is that when I go ahead and upload the video later, those of you who enjoy these will get to see it when a convenient time for you is, and you can still watch and leave me comments. Okay, we the chin is coming in pretty good, and I feel like we're making good time too. I'm not sure. I always mean to check the clock and note what time it is when I get started. And I forgot to do that again this time. I think we are at about 18 minutes so far. So I might, for the first time, actually hit my 30-minute mark and have a complete portrait sketch done within 30 minutes. We'll see. We're getting there. Still got a little bit of shading to go before I feel like it's finished enough. And we have some more hair to put in the drawing as well. Speaking of hair, I'm gonna put the darks in because they help shade and shape things over here. There's a shadow right here, and then some hair flowing down. If you recognize the person in this drawing, if it's you, if you sent me this picture, don't forget to let me know so that I can give you the drawing. Just trying to give the illusion of the hair without having to get caught up in it. That makes sense. And if you've been watching all of the portrait drawings from this year so far, you'll notice that I've been drawing everyone in pencil, black and white, grayscale. And that's something else I can suggest for people if you're starting to draw or if you're interested in painting as well. Um, it's good practice to do it in black and white or a grayscale or just one color, um, because it just helps you see the lights and darks before you get into the color. So if you're kind of new to color, if you're still working on your drawing abilities, doing black and white is great. Helps you really understand value, which is how light or dark something is, and the value scale between the brightest whites and the darkest darks and everything in between. Okay. Just gonna get scribbly down here because I'm not as interested in the details of the clothing. All right, so now I can go back and refine a little. I'm gonna do that without getting super perfectionistic about this. We're gonna get into some of the darker spots of the eyebrows. There we go. Gonna smear that out a little bit. And I'm gonna add a bit more shading up here in the face where I've kind of left it unfinished. There's really not many darks up here, but I want to give some dimension. So I'm gonna go ahead and do this. There's some pieces of hair kind of. Okay. And I'm gonna sharpen the the pencil just so I can get a fine point and kind of add a bit more detail in the eyes. There's a little bit of eyelash in there. A little bit more dark in this part of the eye. They're not dark eyes, even though it's black and white, I can tell that it doesn't look like a brown eye. I can see a little bit of differentiation in there. So I'm guessing it's like a green, maybe a blue eye. And even the whites of the eyes have some shadows. And then eyelashes give them a little more oomph to their value so they show up a bit more against the shading. And over here as well. And so something about eyes too is that our upper eyelid always casts a shadow on our eyes. So the upper part of the eye has this darkness just from that alone, a bit of darkness there. I'm always like interested in drawing the eyelashes, especially the lower ones, without them coming across like spider legs. Okay. Now I'm just going to take a step back and see if it looks accurate. I noticed that I'm missing like a chunk of shading right here on the lip, and that looks funny to me. So I'm going to go ahead and just ease that in. And then I have this little eraser that I use all the time, and I'm going to adjust the shape of the chin with this little eraser. There we go. Every time I erase, it shakes the table, which shakes the camera. So apologies if you're getting a little dizzy from that. There's a softer curve here to the chin, so I'm just gently making that shape here. And then these guidelines that I have will disappear. And here as well. Blend this in a bit with the eraser. There's a little more height in this arch than I put in, so I'm just adjusting that too. And also here, I went a little thicker than I needed to. So just adjust that a bit and brighten that out a bit right there. And then pretty soon here, I'm going to show you my reference photo so that you can see the picture I was using to draw from. I'm just still checking to see if there's anything I want to change first. And I think there's something about the lip. I feel like it needs to come down just a hair, and maybe it was a bit too sharp of a line up there. There we go. That's looking a little better here. Okay, almost there. Right. Now, one thing I notice is that there's not enough space up in the forehead. So I'm going to create some more space up here. It's just making things feel a tiny bit off. I think everything else is looking pretty good. So I'm using this kneaded eraser just to do that. And a bit of a part showing right there. And then because I bumped that back, the top of the head is actually further as well. Okay, there's not much highlights or shadows going on in the hair, so I'm just kind of scribbling that in um, just with the lighting of the photo. But it comes down to about here and then it goes out again. It's really pretty long, dark hair. Okay, I think this is going to be finished for today. So we are at 29 seconds or 29 minutes and 45 seconds. And here's my reference photo I was working from. And so seeing them side by side is always neat to me. There's a little bit of slight differences, but overall I'm pretty happy. I think what's going on is I did not leave enough space up here. We need to leave a little more space. Let's see if we can adjust that a little bit between the eyes. Eyebrows started in a little too close. See if that changes things for us. I could do a whole nother series about taking drawings and refining them for step two after the initial 30 minutes, what I would do if I spent longer on them. But for the purposes of the quick 30-minute sketch, I think I got to a pretty good place and I'm feeling pretty happy with it. There we go. Yeah, giving a little more space in there makes it feel a little more accurate. Just creates a little more width. All right. Well, thanks for watching the drawing. Please don't forget to like and subscribe and send me your picture if you'd like me to draw you. Happy Monday.